and go over 8th grade Wildcat sheet number 5. So the points on the number line represent the values of 4 different numbers. Which point best represents the value of the square root of 3? Well, immediately that should be using your calculator. So you're going to do second x squared to get the square root sign 3. That's 1.73. So I can see this is broken up by halves because there's a line halfway between 1 and 2. So 1.7 would be just past 1.5. So the point is C. The graph represents the cost to rent a front loader for a different number of hours. What is the hourly rate in dollars per hour? Okay, whenever we're talking about the rate, we're talking about the slope. So to find the slope of the graph, I'm going to pick 2 perfect points. So we have 0, 40, and we have 2, 140. So I go up from 40 to 140, I rise 100. To go from 0 to 2, I go over 2. So rise over run, 100 over 2, well, that simplifies to 50. That is your rate. Sam went to an amusement park. From the main entrance, he used the algebraic representation x, y, x minus 10, y plus 14 to walk to a ride. Which ride did Sam walk to? Okay, so main entrance is down here. So x minus 10, well, the negatives are left, so I'm going to go 10 left. But if I look at the scale here, this is counting by 2s. To go from 0 to 10, I'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I'm going to count 5 squares because I'm counting by 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then plus 14 for the y, so I'm going to go up. So I'm going to go up by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. He walked to ride 3. The graph of the linear function is shown on the coordinate grid. What is the y-intercept of the function? Well, I have 2 ordered pairs. I could just put it in the calculator. So I'm going to clear my list first. So I'm going to do second plus 4, enter. Then I'm going to go to stat. We're going to come into edit. And so we're going to put our x values in list 1. So we have -5 and 4. And then in list 2, we're going to put our y values. So -7 and 8. You're going to do stats, arrow to calculate, number 4. And our y-intercept, you don't need the r values. If they ever come up, you can just ignore them. Our y-intercept is the b value. Well, that's 1.3 repeating. Well, 0.3 repeating is 1/3. So the y-intercept is 1 1/3. Well, that was not pretty. 1 1/3, which is the same thing as 4/3. And the y-intercept would be written as an ordered pair, 0, the number. And that makes sense because if you look at the graph, it's just a little bit above 1. Number 5, determine whether the following mapping is a function of x. Well, to be a function of x, the x value can't repeat, meaning I only have 1 arrow coming off all these x values. So only 1 off -1.5, only 1 off -1, only 1 off -5, or 0.5, and only 1 off 0.5. So yes, it is a function because x does not repeat. An online sports ticket company charges a service charge of $4 to buy tickets. Each ticket costs $55 for the basketball game. Write an equation that represents the total cost of buying tickets for the basketball game. Well, all of our equations are always y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So this word each here, that tells me the slope. So I'm going to say y is equal to 55x. And then when we have anything like a service charge, that's our y-intercept, so plus 4. And since I told you just to write an equation, you're going to leave y and x in there and just let it go. Okay, on the back, it says the graph shows the relationship between x and y. Which statement is true? The graph does not show a direct variation because the graph has a negative slope. Well, direct variation means the same thing as proportional. To be proportional, it must go through the origin. Well, this one does not go through the origin, so it does not show a direct variation, but this answer choice has nothing to do with going through the origin, so A does not work. B, the graph does not show a direct variation because the graph does not contain the origin. That looks like a pretty good answer, but let's check the others. C, the graph shows a direct variation because x and y intercepts both contain 7. Well, it's not a direct variation because it's not proportional. It does not go through the origin, so C is out. D, the graph shows a direct variation because the graph passes through 3 different quadrants. That has nothing to do with the direct variation. B is your only choice. Okay, number 8, triangle HJK and triangle PMK are similar right triangles. The coordinates of all vertices are integers. Which statement is true about HK and PK? We're talking about the slope. Okay, HK and PK. They're on the same line, so the slope must be the same, or we're talking about an equal slope. If anything is on the same line, it has to have the same slope. Number 9 says the table shows Linda's monthly expenses. Order her expenses from greatest to least. Well, when we're ordering from greatest to least, we're going to make these all decimals. To make a percent a decimal, you can either divide by 100 or move the decimal 2 places left. So this is 0.13. 43 100ths, well, that's the same thing as 43 hundredths. 1/10 is the same thing as 1/10, but since we're comparing in hundredths, I'm going to make it 10 hundredths. This is going to be 27 hundredths, and we have 0.07. Well, I said greatest to least, so our greatest is the rent. Then the next greatest is the car. Then we have utilities, because that's 1.3. And then we have food, and then other. Okay. Triangle TRW is shown on the coordinate grid. Triangle TRW will be dilated by a scale factor of n. Okay, dilate. Immediately, we should be thinking multiplication. With the origin as the center of dilation to create T prime, R prime, W prime. Which ordered pair best represents the location of R? Okay, well, R is R prime. So R is currently at -3, -5. Well, when I dilate something, I take the ordered pair that's there and I multiply it by the scale factor. Well, if the scale factor is n, I need to multiply -3 times n and 5 times n. But if I also look at my choices, the only choice that's multiplying is B. So B would be our answer. All right, make sure you finish up your corrections.